As you've all been so lovely and kind about my impressions lately, I thought I would do the 5 things to consider when approaching a new impression. Disclaimer, I am not saying I'm the best impersonator out there, so don't come at me, bro. And this is just an idea of how to approach new impressions to help you with voices. The 5 things are pitch, timbre, cadence and melody, accents, and mannerisms. Pitch, super easy. It's which pitch range you're sitting in. So like, I could be low down here, or I can be medium here, or I could be up here. So it depends where your kind of vocal range is sitting for that voice. Timbre is a really fun one because this is about the sound of your voice and how you change it based on using techniques with your throat, your mouth shape, and like where your tongue is and all sorts. For example, you can add more gravel to your voice.
Or you can add the bubble at the back of your throat and then bring it down to sound more like Gollum. Or you could be up here for Elmo. Or you can be really nasal by putting everything through your nose.
You get the idea. Cadence and melody is another fun one because, as you notice, when I talk, there's a bit of a melody to my voice, and you capture that. And this is where some people get into the parody center of like looping one iconic thing from a character, but if you want to nail the impression, you get the cadence down for how they would do things differently. Different emotions, different situations, shouting. Like it's Walken's a good one for this, because everyone just does this all the time. It's not my Walken, by the way, but it's an example of the cadence and melody that they just focused on that part and just, that's it. But you want to get more of a kind of flow to the conversation. So it's the flow and melody of how someone speaks. And if they're sarcastic, then maybe they're talking more like this. Accent's one of the most fun, but also tricky ones. Especially as an English person, people doing English accents is always entertaining. And I'm always nervous about doing accents because a native speaker is blatantly going to figure me out as a fraud. And it's very hard to do them perfectly unless you have an accent coach. Now, for me, I find it a lot easier to do an accent when I'm putting a voice on, but I also lived in a lot of different places, so I can usually drift between a few accents, including down the southeast, but also up north and in Yorkshire. Mannerisms. Now, this is one of the other tricky ones, and you basically just have to read body language and also see what kind of faces they're pulling and the way they would pause, the way they would move in the moment. Again, Walken is another one where they just move all the time. And it's not like that. Again, it's parody. All the other things come into play, and then the mannerisms come on as a little icing on top. So let's use Optimus Prime as an example to go through all 5. So pitch. He's right down here. He's right there. That's where he is. You're not far off when you go in your chest voice already. Now, timbre. He's more like before time began. Like, rah. You have to kind of really warm that kind of lower muscle up. And then cadence and melody. He talks like this. And then I'm adding the accent in. Because it's sort of like a John Wayne thing he does. So it's like before time began. Add it all together with the icing on top and you get Autobots transform and roll out. As I always say, impressions are super fun. They're not always the best for getting voiceover work unless you get sound-alike work, which is already quite rare and taken up by the people who already do them. But they are a great tool to work out what you can do with your voice, new characters that you can figure out either by combining characters together or by doing a bad impression of somebody. That's how I've come up with some characters as well. So they're a really fun tool. I hope that helped you on how to approach impressions. And yeah, have a wonderful day.